Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Triple Threat Comics YouTube channel. I'm your host, Ian Miller. Tonight, I have here a very good guest. He has his own podcast, Reversing the Stars. Maybe you've heard of him. He is Jeffery Haas. Jeffrey, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome. I appreciate it. It's weird being on this side of the world.
Well, I'm sure because you're used to interviewing other people, but I'm pretty sure you've had that you didn't really have the experience of somebody interviewing you. So that's an interesting thing.
It's not common. I mean, I did a few the last time I did a campaign, but it's always weird to be like anyone's talking to me. I was like, I don't know, ask me a question, so I ask you.
Well, that's what happens, is when you're actually promoting stuff, your own work. So yeah,
I will say I'm a promoter of indie comic books as a profession, but it's
Mhm.
weirder to always promote my own. So like I'm always like more like hesitant to promote my own work because like the other people I shamelessly plug everywhere, every social media. You probably see my posts at an obnoxious level, just posting and posting, like almost spamming my own stuff.
Yeah.
I always feel weird about posting. I was like, I don't know, people don't want to see that.
Well, that's the thing. You gotta post. You gotta post on your own stuff, especially if you want people to get back in your campaign. So yeah,
Right.
yeah. So obviously, the first question I ask for every new guest is, how did you get started in becoming a writer and a podcaster?
Well, the writing part, I'm a second generation comic book geek. My father
Nice.
was a comic book nerd in the 50s and 60s, and and I used to when I was a kid, he would price his comic books using the Overstreet price guide that used to be around. And he used to price them every a few years or so just because. And I sit there looking
Mhm.
at the old comics, I see the covers, and he has all the classic, first Spider
Yeah.
Man, first
Ooh.
Daredevil, first X-Men, first Justice League, first Green Lantern for the 60s. I mean, all the cool ones. And I would just watch him, see the covers and over and over and just like imagine what's inside. And he'd let me read them from time to time, like with him. And as I got older, I became a comic book nerd because he introduced me sometime around the Batman '89 movie because I'm old, and that was the comic book movie that like it was the big thing at the time when before comic
Yeah.
book movies were a thing. And then sometime around the 2000s, there was a company out called CrossGen Comic Books.
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember CrossGen, but for me, they were like
Yeah.
the thing. I almost quit DC and Marvel just to buy CrossGen. I bought like every title, and they were a company, one of the only ones that were open to unsolicited comic book writer scripts, right?
Mhm.
And they would accept them for their company. And I was like, I can write. I think. I mean, I'm in my early 20s, but what the hell, I can do this. I'm going to write for them. And I wrote this script that I was very proud of. It's actually it's a book that became a graphic novel that I wrote that's available called Sanctus from Amazon. But the moment I finished, they announced they were shutting down. So I never actually
Oh.
submitted to them. But I had the idea in my head. I was like, well, I can just move over a few things and make its own thing. So that's what I did. And I realized that became Santa's from on Amazon. Um, but that kind of got into my blood thinking, oh, I did this, I made a horrible publishing deal on that one. Be careful with contracts that you sign.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm going to do something that's my own that I don't get screwed on, hopefully. At least I'll just screw myself, which is okay, I guess. And so then I started writing my own, which was I got to Nightmare Patrol. Then I did Santa Claus, and then I moved on to like Malek and the end of Alternus. That's kind of the direction I've been heading in.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I remember that company vividly because I had a guest on who had actually left DC to work, at the company, and he was telling his wife, uh, I really want to do it because I like the people in there, but I know it's gonna get canned, in a couple of years. Should I
Yeah,
do it? So he jumped ship and he did it, and he was right. They did get canceled a couple years later.
who was the guest?
It was Chuck Dixon.
Oh, Chuck Dixon. Yes, like I know who he is.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, no, I mean, Carson was so good. I mean, you had I believe Mark Wade was doing it. He was part of the deal. You had Tony Bedard doing it. He was part of the deal. You had was it Barbara Kessel? I think is how you say your last name. She was part of it. I mean, their titles were so smart and they were different than what else was on the stands. I mean, you had your Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Thor, and all that stuff, but you look at Sojourn and
mhm,
Scion and Sigil, and they're so different than anything. The path, Way of the Rat, that anything that was on the stands, you're just like, this is something new, and it's freaking gorgeous to look at. I mean, the art was gorgeous, the writing was
Yeah.
sharp, and it was unlike anything you had seen in comic books. And that overarching universe of concept was brilliant. It was brilliant. I mean, it was one of those companies that was too smart to have shut down, but it's sort of like when those it's sort of like Firefly, the TV show Firefly, where you're like,
Yeah.
it's too good to be canceled, but you can get that the show is too smart for its audience. Like people weren't able to didn't understand how to catch up, to find it,
Yeah.
but it was too good to shut down. It was too good.
Unfortunately, that's the way it happens, and that was a huge learning curve for the indie industry because they're like, okay, it's good to take chances, but you also have to accept, the consequences of the chances that you take because it is a business. So you could either succeed or you could fail at any time, but
Yeah,
you got to take a chance. And that's the thing, the industry was not where it is now then.
right.
It expanded because now we have Kickstarter and all these funding websites.
Yeah, I mean, um, my understanding of the owner, which I think was Mark Alessi, I think was the guy's name, who owned
Mm,
CrossGen, he had a problem with impatience. It sounds like he was throwing out titles faster than the audience was finding him. So he kept throwing out
yeah,
new titles. And part of I think he was throwing out new titles. Each one is hoping for like a profit for the next, make a little more, make a little more. But I think what he found was he was pushing it faster than audiences were finding him, and thus cannibalizing his own base, which caused him to fail. But
yeah,
you got to appreciate the hunger there. I mean, the way he did it, the way he brought back the old Marvel bullpen where everyone kind of worked together and all that. It, you got to appreciate the balls it took to put that company together. And Marvel, if I don't know if you saw Red Battle World and Marvel, but Battle
yeah,
World introduced some of the crushing characters again in their storyline.
yeah,
And I hope Marvel and someone in Marvel has the good sense to finish the storyline of CrossGen with the Gaetian War, has the good sense to bring these characters back because they're leaving money, I think, on the table, especially with the backing of Marvel's name. And they should just do it just because it's special.
Well, obviously we'll see that if it ever comes to light. But yeah, that would be great. It would be a great moneymaker, and also get hardcore fans to come back and say, "Wow, I didn't think I missed these characters as much as I did."
Well, I mean, by now they got entered the realm of nostalgia. I
Yeah,
mean, late '90s. We're only about 3 or 4 years away from the nostalgia of the '90s. I mean, we're still in the hardcore '80s, but we're getting close to the mid '90s nostalgia, where something like CrossGen will probably start popping up again.
yeah, but we'll see. Okay, so let's talk about your series in particular. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
What prompted you to create this?
All right. So, long story short, there was a publisher, maybe maybe 7 years ago.
Mhm.
He was she was looking for writers to contribute to an anthology.
Yeah,
It had to be gun related, but it could be any story. Well, it had to be something to do with guns for whatever. And I was like, well, I can write stories. So and I was like, well, I have some ideas I could write. So I was talking to her, and she's like, well, come up with a story, and and we'll look into publishing. With an artist and all that. And I sat around saying, what kind of story do I want to tell? So I decided, hey, guns. What's better with guns than angels? Um, for some, angels can have guns. I don't know. And so I basically wrote a story that I wanted to tell about angels, and I decided that if I threw a gun in there, it counted, and it did. So I wrote it, and it became the prologue to Malek Raining Devil. Um, and like I said, it is. It's a good short story. It's black and white. One day I have to redo it my own in color. Now I own the rights again to the character. And it is, very simple, very simple story of an angel named Malek, who is the wrath of God, the Hamashit, which is an actual term. I didn't make that up.
mhm.
And for a particular of angel, but he's God's wrath, and his job was he was sent to hell to kill the devil.
Ooh,
That was the goal. But as the story goes, as is kind of what I do, I kind of warp the biblical view of these things and kind of make it my own thing.
Mhm.
The idea of any angel that steps on earth or hell becomes unclean by the act of doing so. And the moment you become unclean, you're no longer welcome back in heaven. So what he realizes, this is a one way mission to for God to kill Lucifer. The other catch that he finds right at the end, and Lucifer tells him, is that the one who kills the devil becomes the devil. So the moment he sets foot in hell, he is now banished to hell for his entire existence.
Oh,
And the argument then would be that he has in his is, why would God do that to me? I mean, I was a loyal angel for since creation. Why would he banish me to hell to do this thing for him? Why me? Like, why would he do that? And as his anger grows, Lucifer basically tells him, if you kill me, you're now the new devil. You're going to have to reign in hell for the rest of your existence. And he basically decides at that point, yeah, I'm going to do this because I'm going to go back and kill God for doing this to me and get my revenge. So that's kind of like the premise of the prologue, which leads into the rest of the series.
wow. It's a very interesting concept. And this is, I think, the third, angels versus demons type of story that I've had, on the show.
Yeah,
And it's still a very interesting concept because you still got that evil, good versus evil thing in there. But the fact that this character was tricked, to killing Lucifer and him becoming the new devil of hell, that's something new and fresh I don't think I've ever seen before.
yeah. I basically the I mean, I will say right outside. I mean, I'm from a practical standpoint, I'm an atheist.
Mhm.
Though my comic book is steeped in religious dogma, especially the Old and New Testament and some other works as well. I can't remember the name, but there's a book that was written about heaven, the look of heaven. That was supposed to be a guy who actually visited and who wrote it, and I read it. But I mean, I'm an atheist I've always been curious about theology and religion and
Mhm.
those big
Mhm.
ideas. So the story is steeped in theological philosophy of, what do we owe our creator? If there is one, what do we owe to, or even to about our parent, like the one who brought us into this world? What do we owe to them? Do we have the
Mhm.
right to our own agency? Do we must we do as is expected of us because that's what we were here for? As those who brought us into this world, as it were. What does it mean to for vengeance? Is there a point where vengeance is too consuming to be of value? Is it an important driving force? I mean, there's a lot of and then the question is the nature of God, right?
Yeah.
Which is would be, you know, he's banished to hell, and there's things in hell. And one of the primary arguments would be, if you have, if you're a God, and you're ideally perfect, you know everything. Why would you create a flawed creation and then punish the flaw, right? If you are punishing Malek for being who he is, which is this wrathful angel, whatever, but you made him to be your wrath, can you then punish him for being what he is? That's you. So there's a lot of philosophical questions that kind of pop in, and the nature of faith as well. I mean, there's a lot of in there, and like I said, from a point of view of an atheist, I will admit, but that allows me to kind of have, like, in my opinion, outside view of religion. But I'm trying to be also respectful towards it.
Mhm.
So it's a hard balance to walk, but I think the story does a good job of walking it and keeping the questions unanswered, or at least answerable only to the audience.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying not to preach in the book one way or another. I mean, I'm not. The book isn't about like there is no God or whatever. It's like that's inappropriate. I'm not going to do that. Nor is it
Yeah.
this is one religion that's right or wrong. It's more of taking this as a whole, right? What does that mean for those within this idea, right? And that's kind of where I start from.
Okay. So now we're in the third issue in the series. And obviously, this is what's happened has already happened. And without revealing too much, where is his mindset at this point?
He is okay. So the first two issues with him conquering hell. So by the end of
Mhm.
issue two, he's now the reigning devil. He's now controls the circles of hell for the most part. The third issue has him targeting purgatory. Now, the reason he charged purgatory, and basically, and keep in mind too, he's a he's he's sort of like an angel version of John Wick. He's 100% focused on his goal. He's this kind of will, powerful will, unstoppable will kind of individual who's has a target and he can just do single focus on that one target, right? Revenge
Yeah.
against God. He's going to invade heaven, hopefully. But as I said, anyone who steps into hell or earth cannot enter heaven. It's a rule. You can't do it. There's laws of creation involved in this, right?
Hmm.
However, he understands. He kind of figures out one thing. 'Cause the thing with Malik, he's not stupid at all, but he is kind of a hammer. He's not a deep analytical thinker. He's not, he's not that great mind. He's more, or a schemer. He's more of that hammer. I have a goal in mind. I'm going to get there, and single focus, right? But so he's not. He doesn't have like I said. So he's not really scheming into how to get to heaven. He doesn't know, but he does know who knows or thinks he knows. Lucifer, who he killed.
Hmm.
When an angel dies in my universe, they go to purgatory. Okay, that's sort of that's part of angel. That's like angel hell, as it were, right? Purgatory, right?
Yeah.
So he decides if I can get to purgatory, I can find Lucifer, and hopefully Lucifer hates God more than he hates me for killing him, right? God for making the order versus me for doing it. So maybe Lucifer will tell me what his plan was to do, because Lucifer had to have a plan to do this. So this is why I was sent out to kill him, right? He had to know what he was doing. So what is that plan? So his job is to go to purgatory, which is it's kind of a realm of nightmares in its own right, to find Lucifer and basically ask him for help. And then the question is, does Lucifer want to help him, or does Lucifer hate him just as much as he hates everyone else? Because he did kill him. So he's making a risky gamble by doing this. And like I said, purgatory, which is like I said, realm of the dead for angels, he's risking a lot of himself to walk through that purgatory.
Yeah.
So that's his goal. That's what mindset is. This is the next step. I got hell. Now figure out what the next step is, which is hopefully Lucifer knows.
Uh, Only time will tell, obviously, because again, this is the third issue, and is this going to be a long running series
Um,
or?
the plan is 6 issues. There's five. Basically, how it works is there's five primary issues. There's gonna be
Mhm.
2 issues in hell, 1 issue of purgatory, 2 issues in heaven, and then there's going to be an epilogue, which is kind of a tying up loose end kind of story, and kind of does this thing. And there's a few miniseries that are combined um, that can be read independently of the story, but is kind of interwoven with it. Basically, 3 8 issues stories, 8 page stories, but it's at the end of the six. For all intents and purposes, the story resolves itself.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, because I had the feeling it wasn't going to be a long running series. I thought it was going to be definitely a
Yeah,
limited
no,
series.
I can't afford a long running series.
No, no, again, because, but also I think story wise, it should have a good beginning, middle, and end. And I think 6 issues definitely is a
Yeah, I
good beginning,
mean,
middle, end.
th- there's no point in milking the story. I mean, this is not Batman, where it's like let's throw him in a million stories. Batman can be everywhere. It's like it's sort of like this is my story. After 6 issues, I kind of said what I needed to say about the world and the character. I mean, would there be a miniseries? Like another short story? I have like, well, that'd be kind of let's see what happens here, and maybe. But for the most part, I can't imagine what else I need to say about it after the 6th issue are done. Um, Especially after the 6th issue, which is going to be very different than the others, more cerebral as well. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited. But yeah, 6 issues is going to do it.
Yeah.
The first 5 are written completely. The 6th issue is plotted. The third issue, the art of the third issue from a penciler standpoint is all done. So the third issue campaign is basically just to get the colors in, get the letters in, get the printing in. And,
Okay.
you know, so the goal is small, but that's because it's just to kind of finish up the artwork, and then I can move into 4, whether we go to heaven or the character goes to heaven. I guess I'm not, but the character will go to heaven, and eventually, like I said, it's going to be the buildup of him working, fighting his way through the different levels. Well, more like the cities of heaven, like the circles of hell. I will
Yeah.
say I borrow quite a bit from Dante's Inferno, Dante's Divine Comedy. So if you know Divine
Hmm.
Comedy, you can kind of get somewhere where the ideas are coming from. which is a brilliant series of extended poems. But yeah, so he stops at the Paradiso, so why not stop at my Paradiso?
I get it again. No, but this is interesting. This is very interesting, and we do have the artwork for the cover,
Yes.
which is sick, by the way. So I'm gonna share with them in a second. Give me one second. Yeah, and I would not be surprised if at some point, that this cover alone would launch a action figure at some point because it does look that good.
Yeah, I like the art is incredible. The art is Juan Amaran. You can find him on Facebook. I think JMA is the name he tends to go with. The name of his company, like his initials. Um, and he's freaking amazing. Like I got to watch over the last 7 years. He's been working on books of mine. I got to
Mm.
watch him grow, and at some point, from issue 2 and 3, he just exploded in talent. The art is incredible. He's too good for me at this point, but don't tell him. Like it was like I need to get this done before someone else discovers him. So, but don't tell him.
Yeah.
I don't. I need him to finish 3 more issues, so don't tell him that he's that good yet. And hopefully he gets done and then realize how good he is.
Well, I'm not. I don't know if I'm gonna meet him yet, so I can't really tell him that. So, but yeah, no, just yeah. Give me one second. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. So let me just pull it up. Yeah, folks, this is definitely gonna be worth it. You're gonna be looking at this and you're like, okay, I need to buy this right now.
Yeah, it's not bad. I think I have it down at $8 right now, the issue, not counting shipping. So I mean, it's reasonable for indie. I mean, it's not reasonable $8 ever, but it's reasonable for indie. It's about the best we can you can really do in the world
Yeah.
of indie Kickstarter. So
Okay. Ah, there we go.
yes, Malek. One cool thing is that is also the images of so one of the tiers that I have, and I'm a nerd, and this and I collect playing cards. I have a Malek playing card deck that I made, like poker cards, but they're for like Malek, and that's one of the tiers for I think it's like $40 or something. Like original Malek playing cards, and it's 4 images, and it's all 52 playing cards, and you can buy it as like a deck of cards, and it's pretty cool. And that's one of the decks that we're gonna have on it.
Uh, well, it's fantastic and it's a great idea.
And
Yeah. This.
yeah, like I said, his art is incredible. There's also a cover by Dennis Valencia of what's the name of Team No Sleep that kind of does this thing that's really cool. Homebrewed comic books he works for, and he did a variant cover for me.
Mhm.
Juan has 2 covers for it, so there's gonna be 3 variant covers. One Dennis, 2 from Juan, and there's a killer cover where he's killing a bunch of these ghost-looking creatures. There's the one where Lucifer is walking out from his helmet, and it's like crazy good. I mean, that one is like pro. I mean, if you don't make that into a T-shirt, I mean, I may do it myself. Just make it into a T-shirt, like a black T-shirt. It's killer. And then Dennis Valencia has this really awesome one from yeah, that's the cover right there. That's the main
Wow.
cover. And like I said, that's Lucifer walking towards you. That to me is T-shirt worthy. It just looks that good. Colors are perfect. The light and dark is perfect. I don't know. I'm super excited.
But you should be, because it looks great.
It really does. I mean, that's the cover that I saw, and I was like, all right, I'm doing this. This cover is too good not to make it, finish this. Right? Once I got the rights, I
Yeah.
was like, this has got to be finished. And
Absolutely.
that it's great. And you should see some of the work that he's done from the interiors. He really is doing a wonderful job. He's really kind of a important artist. I mean, without his work, this comic book would be crap. I mean,
Well, that's a lot. That's a lot to say that.
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like my writing, but there's
Mhm.
something about because keep in mind, like Purgatory, it's so far out of like human bounds that without his artwork making it feel otherworldly, without giving you that sense of depth and real, and kind of making this kind of like tangible thing out of Purgatory, even
Yeah.
my good, even the writing which I'm proud of would not hold up well enough to a lesser artist. He makes it work because his visuals are so stunning that it gives you that feeling that purgatory is a place. It makes it feel real. It gives you that sense of like dimension and it's like I said, without him, this comic book wouldn't work like at all. I need someone at his level to make it work.
Yeah.
Just don't tell him yet until he's done.
Again, I don't have get in contact with him, so I can't really say that. So you can leave me out of that equation. But if he's watching this, then I won't say it.
Right. Like if you're watching this, man, just ignore this part until you're done. When you're done, you can go work for Image. But until that point, finish the story.
Oh God.
But like I said, I if his art is because of his art made me want to finish the story because
Mhm.
it was it's just too good to me to just let sit there. I feel like some people have to see what he's done. He has to see what what he's brought to life, and yeah, this has to happen.
Well, I think it's gonna happen. It's
I'm
obviously
hoping
happening.
the goal is $800. If I can't hit $800, I'll be very sad.
I think you can make it. I think you can make it. I've been looking at your past, campaigns with the first two issues, and
Yeah,
you did pretty well with those. I mean,
yeah. I mean, the indie community has been good to me. And let's face it, the economy being what it is, it's not good. Asking even for $8 is still a big ask from people, especially when you add like another $5 for shipping. So it's $13 for one issue. That's a big ask, right? I mean,
yeah,
I'm still the generation when I saw my first $5 comic book from DC Armor, I was like, "Are you kidding me? $5? I mean, what kind of bullshit is this?" But I'm asking for technically 13. So it's a big ask from people who want to back it. It's especially in this economy, but I think they'll enjoy it, and you'll have my eternal gratitude to for backing it. But hopefully, they do it and they take a chance on it and they find that it's worth it. That's the goal.
isn't that the goal for any that type of project that's worth it?
Yeah, I mean, you want it to be worth it to the people who back it. I would hate to think that is viewed as I don't want people to feel scammed like they spent $13. I got a crap ass story. I want them to feel like, wow, I found something. You're part of that small exclusive club of people who found this comic book and hopefully found something in the comic book itself. And like I said, as a creator who's not big enough yet to have an ego, well, to have a warranted ego, I will say it's I appreciate anytime someone can put that money, hard-earned money, towards me and my book. You got to just say thank you. I appreciate what you've done. You helped this dream come true. You helped this story come to life, and it's a big thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely true. It's definitely true. Because the economy is what it is, and it is a big ask for people to spend the money to back this. But I think you have developed an audience. You clearly have developed an audience for the first two issues and your work specifically. So I think they're going to back you. You're going to find that people are going to back you and say, I want to see more of this. I want to see what happens next. And you've delivered something, that will guarantee people will want to come back and read the next issue.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I'm gonna make an announcement right now that is an exclusive
Oh, good. Oh,
announcement.
good. Oh,
If
good.
if my comic book backs in one day, the $800 in one day, everyone will get a free 8-page additional story.
Okay, we got to make this happen, folks. Come on, we can make this happen.
So,
Yeah.
and it'll be either the full prologue will show up, or I'll put in the first mini comic that came out that connects to it, but it will be part of the series, and you'll get it free. Everyone will get it, $800, 24 hours.
This sounds like a deal. This sounds like a deal.
So I mean, the thing is too, for $8 and $5 in shipping, you're getting a 36-page comic. So it's not 24 pages, 36 pages of
Mm.
comic book. And then you get 8 pages more than that, and if you get to the first page, so but 44 pages of comic book for your $8 and $5 of shipping, or $6 in shipping, however it turned out. I can't remember what it was, 5 or 6. I think it was 5.
I think it'll be worth every penny then if you're getting all these extras because again I've noticed people will actually get the extras if it's funded at a certain point even on the
Yeah,
first day.
I've never had a comic book funded for 24 hours of mine. I mean, for those who don't know, I'm a publicist. I do vector publicity, and I've had my record as a publicist is I've had a comic book hit its goal in 1 hour. Within 1 hour, I think it was what was it, $2,000 goal. The guy got $2,000 within 1 hour. Um, I've done that before, but as my own campaign, I've never pulled it off 24 hours. So 24 hours, free mini comic for
Hey,
everybody.
maybe this will be the first time. Maybe.
I'm telling you, I mean, why not? If like I said, there's some crap out there that I'm not selling just sex. I'm selling a real story, this quality story. It's gotta I assume it's gotta be competitive out there in the market. I imagine so. Yes, please back it, as I beg for your support.
Well, see, there you go. Okay, so this is obviously the pre-launch page. So when does it actually launch specifically?
So it's gonna launch February 3rd.
Okay.
I'm going to be on a. I'm going to live stream it on a another show at 8, and I probably will then officially launch it at my guess would be 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So February 3rd, 8:30 Eastern time, or sometime between 8 and 8:30. I think we're going to do 8. We're going to end up doing 8:30. It goes live. So you had to Wednesday, February 4th at 8:30 to make this real. So let's do this. But yeah, it'll be live launch. It's going to be um, I've done live launch parties before. This is the first time
Mhm.
doing it on its own podcast versus me doing it on Instagram, which was problematic because I don't like Instagram. So it's not my thing. And unfortunately, my artist doesn't have. He's from out of the country, out of the U.S. He doesn't have some of these social media, so he doesn't have like Instagram stuff. So I was going to be like talking to myself apparently. I was like, that's not fun. Celebrating, me talking to you for like an hour of a launch party isn't really a party. It's just me like awkwardly staring at you. So I was like, I
Yeah.
gotta be on a show. So we're doing a show. It'll be live launched, and yeah, hopefully good things happen. You know, there's that moment within the hour leading to it on where it's like Schrodinger's campaign. It's like Schrodinger's campaign,
Mhm.
where you're both super successful and an utter failure at the same time, and you don't know until you hit the button. And I'm going to be in that realm for like the hour leading to it, where I'm both a huge hit and an utter failure simultaneously.
God, the way you describe it, it's like when the pre-production of Batman Returns, where uh, Annette Bening was cast as Catwoman. She tells Tim Burton that she's pregnant, and he's so happy for her, but at the same time he's like, oh God, what do we do now?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I mean, there's not many things more stressful than your campaign because there's so much involved, right? You have
Yeah,
the potential to fail and not have your comic go out there, and it's also you. I mean, it's almost one of the most personal things that you have because it's people supporting you or not supporting you in what you've done. You're not just selling. Like I mean, I used to sell mattresses. And it's like you're selling somebody else's stuff, but this is you. You're selling you, what you accomplished, and it feels very personal.
yeah,
And the failure feels personal, and the success feels personal, and the ride is a amusement park, kind of like amusement park ride, more than almost anything you've ever done. And the highs are high and the lows are lows, and you just ride it for 28 days of sheer like terror. And it's rough. It's not for the faint of campaigns are not for the faint of heart.
mm,
And if you those who do it must want it because it's not fun. The campaigns are not, um, they're not fun to do because let's face it, they're stressful, and they're like you white knuckle it for 28 to 30 days, and yeah, it's a hell of a thing, and it might be, well, it might be a little bit like it's probably a horrible analogy. Let's say childbirth, where women talk about all the pain it is, but then afterwards they forget about the pain, they want to do it again. It's kind of like where you're like, this hurts so much, but then as soon as you're over, like a month or two later, you're like, I'm ready for my next campaign. Let's do this. You're like, you start into the process again. You're like, oh, that's why I didn't want to do this again.
I hope to God your wife didn't hear that.
Yeah, luckily my wife, no, she's not home right now. Luckily, but but I mean, it's the idea of just the idea where it really it's an experience. But once you're over it, I do think sometimes like, and I think that as well. Where you're like, a couple months later, you're like, let's do this again. That was fun. And we're like, then you forget for a little how awful it felt when it was low, but then you get back into it. So yeah, I'm gonna ride the ride again, the Tower of Terror in less than a week.
Well, this is exciting, and once it does launch, obviously I'm gonna share the campaign with everyone, and definitely check out it because now I'm following the campaign on
Yeah.
my account. So yeah, but like I said, I'm gonna do my best to promote this as best I
Well,
can.
like I said, I appreciate it, and like I said, I'm glad I'll be on your show. And when your Kickstarter goes live, you told me you have one going. I'll make sure I promote it on my end because we gotta help each other, and
Yeah,
then you get to share in the misery of the Tower of Terror yourself. So get ready. Are you feeling good about it? You ready?
I'm getting pumped. I'm getting pumped, but I'm expecting certain things are not gonna go well. The first time because it's my first time around.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna expect it, but I'm not gonna hope for things go wrong. No, I'm gonna hope for things to go right, and at least I could at some point I'm like, well, I tried it once. I definitely want to try it again, but it'll be a learning curve because I'll be able to say, okay, what did I do wrong the first time around? What didn't I talk about? What didn't I show enough? So and that's the thing. You'll get better each time, I think. Or get a little bit better each time when you do them. So
Well,
it'll be a learning curve, but I'll be fine with it.
I mean, ideally, over time, you do build that audience and it becomes easy. Each one should hopefully become somewhat easier, which is nice. But
Yeah.
yeah, welcome to the craziness. It's almost-
The
welcome,
insanity.
welcome to the animal.
I like that. I like that. Uh,
So there's a dog in the background. I guess she's angry at something else. The
uh,
pleasures of technology and being and doing this at home. But anyways,
uh,
but once again, I do appreciate you doing this for me. Anyone who wants to back it, like I said, I deeply appreciate it. I think it's gonna be worth their while. And indie community support itself. Let's do it.
yeah. And don't forget to actually also follow Jeffrey's own podcast, Reversing the Stars. He has great, number of guest spots in there. Also talks about, his thoughts on certain comics and movies and whatnot. So definitely check that out. And as always with Triple Threat, hit that like button and subscribe. I'm gonna be posting some, updates on Codium Hunter issue 5, which is gonna be close to be coming to an end soon. I'm actually at the last pages. You know, so I'm very excited about that. And when we get too close to where I can actually announce, the pre-launch page of the Kickstarter, I'll let you guys know. Yeah, even the dog agreed. Even the dog agreed.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Jeff, I can't. I think you got enough to coming on. I'm glad you came on. I'm glad we met face to face finally
Indeed.
after all this time. And yeah, we just gotta keep supporting each other.
All right. Thank you so much.
Of course. Well, folks, I think that's gonna be it for us tonight. I'm Ian Miller, and this has been Triple Threat Comics YouTube channel. Have a great night.